Nantes. The Nantes carrot comes from the Atlantic coast of France, near the city it's named after, where mild weather and light, sandy soil shaped its signature look. It's almost perfectly cylindrical, with a blunt, rounded tip and a smooth, thin skin that barely needs peeling. The flesh is bright orange all the way through, with a tender, pale core and very little of the woody fiber found in older types. The flavor is crisp, clean, and sweet, with almost none of the bitterness people associate with tougher carrots. That combination of sweetness and reliability made it one of the most influential carrots ever grown. Breeders used it as the foundation for countless modern hybrids, to the point that Nantes type is now an entire category rather than a single variety. When you picture a classic carrot, the kind you'd snap raw, slice into a salad, or press into juice, you're almost certainly picturing something descended from Nantes, purple haze. Long before orange carrots existed, carrots were purple. The first domesticated carrots, grown over 1,000 years ago in the region of modern Afghanistan and Persia, came in shades of deep violet and pale yellow, and orange didn't dominate until centuries later. The purple haze revives that ancient color in a modern form. It's a hybrid, recognized as an award-winning variety in 2006, with a striking violet skin wrapped around a vivid orange core. The purple comes from anthocyanins, the same family of antioxidants that gives blueberries and red cabbage their color. Raw, it's the variety's best showcase. Slice it crossways, and you get a dramatic two-tone ring of purple and orange that makes it a favorite for plating and garnishes. Cooking is less forgiving. Heat tends to dull the purple and can bleed it into whatever it's cooked with, so most people eat it raw to keep the contrast intact. The flavor is sweet, with a slight spice that sets it apart from a standard orange carrot, Paris market. This French heirloom looks almost nothing like a carrot. It's small, round, and barely the size of a golf ball, and it was bred in 19th century France for a very practical reason. Heavy, rocky, shallow soils where a long taproot simply couldn't form. Instead of growing down, the Paris market grows outward into a near-perfect sphere. Also known as the Parisian, it became popular with market gardeners around Paris who needed a crop that could thrive in difficult ground and cramped beds. And today, the same trait makes it ideal for containers and shallow planters. Despite the unusual shape, the flavor is classic carrot, tender, sweet, and mild, with none of the toughness you might expect from such a compact root. It's usually eaten whole, roasted in its skin, glazed, or pickled, where its size and shape turn it into something closer to a delicacy than an everyday vegetable. Kütiger. This is a white carrot, and it carries the name of a single Swiss village. The Kütiger comes from Küttingen in the canton of Aargau, a region so closely tied to carrots that it built local festivals and its famous carrot cake around them. For generations, it was a staple of Swiss kitchen gardens, but as uniform orange supermarket carrots took over, the Kütiger nearly vanished. It survives today largely thanks to Swiss heritage seed conservation efforts. It looks rustic and unmistakable, cream white, thick at the shoulder, often slightly forked, and tapering to a rough point rather than a clean tip. Because it has none of the orange carotene pigment, the flavor is different too, stronger and more aromatic, with a peppery, almost spicy edge and a denser texture than the sweet orange types. That robustness is exactly why it was prized for cooking. It holds its character in long-simmered stews and soups, where a milder carrot would simply disappear, yellow of Tabor. While Switzerland kept its white carrots alive, Central Europe held onto its yellow ones. The yellow of Tabor is a Czech heirloom tied to the Tabor region of Bohemia, and it's a reminder that yellow carrots were once just as common across Europe as orange ones. It's a clear, bright yellow from skin to core, a color that comes from xanthophyll pigments like lutein, the same compounds linked to eye health. The flavor is gentle, sweet, clean, and a little less intense than a deep orange carrot, without any bitterness. Cooks valued it precisely because of that mildness and its strong color, which holds up beautifully in broths and stews, lending a golden tone to the pot without overpowering anything around it. In a world that came to assume carrots are orange by default, varieties like the yellow of Tabor are living proof of how recent and how narrow that assumption really is. Ox heart. The ox heart, known in France as the cœur de bœuf, is built like no other carrot on this list. Developed in France in the late 1800s, it's short, broad, and blunt, swelling into a thick, heart-shaped root that can weigh close to a pound. The name comes straight from the shape, a stout, rounded mass that looks more like a beet than a typical carrot. That design wasn't an accident. It was bred for heavy clay soils where slender carrots struggle, using its wide, powerful shoulders to push through dense ground that would stunt a thinner root. When harvested young, the flesh is sweet, tender, and fine-grained. Left to grow to its full size, it becomes coarser and is better suited to cooking and storage than to raw snacking. Its sheer bulk and unusual silhouette have also made it a favorite of heirloom growers, where a single ox heart on a market table tends to stop people in their tracks. Long orange. To understand why most carrots are orange at all, you have to look at the long orange, the Dutch carrot that effectively set the modern standard. In the 16th and 17th centuries, growers in the Netherlands selected and stabilized a long, deep orange, tapering carrot that became the ancestor of nearly every orange variety eaten today. There's a popular story that Dutch farmers turned carrots orange as a tribute to the House of Orange, the royal family of William of Orange, a charming legend that historians treat with real skepticism, since orange carrots appear to predate any deliberate patriotic project. What isn't disputed is the result. The Dutch made the orange carrot reliable, productive, and dominant, and the rest of the world followed. The variety itself is large and dramatically long, with a thick shoulder narrowing to a sharp point, a deep orange color, and a high sugar content that made it valuable both fresh and stored through the winter. Almost every carrot in this video traces some part of its lineage back to this one. Purple dragon. The purple dragon closes the loop on carrot color. Where the long orange represents the variety that erased purple from supermarket shelves, the purple dragon represents its comeback. Its skin is a deep, dramatic purple, closer to burgundy or crimson than violet, wrapping a contrasting yellow-orange core, and like other purple carrots, that color comes from anthocyanin pigments concentrated in the outer layers. But the purple dragon is known for more than looks. It carries an unusually bold flavor, sweet upfront, with a distinct spicy, peppery finish that sets it apart from the flat sweetness of a standard orange carrot. Raw, it's vivid and crunchy and makes a striking addition to slaws and salads. Roasted, it deepens and turns earthy. Though, like most purple carrots, it can lose some of its color to the heat. More than anything, it represents a wider shift, a renewed appetite for the strange, colorful, and forgotten carrots that the orange standard pushed aside for 400 years.